Hello everyone, and welcome to Senior Susie Stamps. We're working on some paper that I developed in Canva called Muddy Footprints. I hope you emailed me last week and got you a copy. And I also have our little names for my little scruffy dog. Let's see, where has he gotten off to? Here he is. So this is what we're going to draw the name for. And I have just cut up all my names. And there's some. Let's see what we got on this one here. Let's do this one and see who it is. Now, before I start, I didn't keep track of who gave me these names. I'm sorry, this is not a competition. It's just a naming. Now let's see what his name is going to be. Buddy. Oh, Buddy's a good name for a dog, isn't it? Good. Well, his name now is Buddy, and I will try to remember that and call him by his name. So, let's get started, and I'm going to do a little different video today because we're just going to cut this sheet in quarter panels, and of course we're going to trim the white off. I've got some supplies here. I have a number 10 Jelly Roll white and a gold Jelly Roll. It's a metallic pen. I have a stamping block that we're going to put some ink on. I got two colors of ink, and I just randomly chose some ink. Crumb Cake and Balmy Blue. I have a water bottle, my glue, and I have a number 5 round paintbrush. You could probably use a number 6, but I find a number 5 works well for me. And then I have some scissors for fussy cutting. And you know, this is my favorite standby. Last week, I tried this little pair of scissors, which is a curved blade. Now, I liked that curved blade, but I didn't like the finger holes in these scissors. So somebody wrote to me and said that they used Fiskars. So I ordered a Fiskars, and while I was looking at that, this one came up. And I have used both of these this week. And I kind of leaned more towards this one, and I hope you can see it. And that is because it has a very, very fine point on the blade. But I thought we would do some fussy cutting with these two pairs of curved scissors. Say that twice. These two pairs of curved scissors today. And this is the paper. Now, I know some of you are going to not like my little scruffy dog, and that is okay with me. But he's here for us to color today, and I included a little other dog in case you didn't like my little Buddy. And so this one we're not going to colorize because he's already pretty well colored. But I wanted to tell you, this is an AI dog that I asked Canva to create for me based on the Buddy image. So that's what they came up with. And there are, of course, some sentiments and a little bit of colored paper that coordinates with this. So let's get started. And I'm going to cut, as I said, I'm going to cut this just into quarter panels. This kit will make 2 very nice cards. And while we're talking about that, I'm going to cut this in half to 5 1/4. And we may have to trim the other side just a little bit. And once we trim it down, then I can get this other white strips off. So what I was starting to say is I've heard from several of you that have wished they could have gotten the paper that you don't have color printers, and I didn't think about that. I'm going to make this 4 inches, and then I'm going to turn and cut this one at 4 inches as well. There's probably going to be just a little bit of waste on this piece, and it's these little 1/4 inch strips. They're not really large enough to do much with. So what I thought I would do, for those of you who do not have a color printer, if you'll be patient, when we finish this series, then I will print the entire series. And if you're interested, you can purchase that. You know, I've tried really, really hard not to sell things on this channel, and we are to the point with these kinds of things where I just cannot get them professionally printed and give them to you at no charge. So there's going to have to be a little charge associated with that, and of course the shipping to send it. But these are nice little packs. They make sweet little cards to send out. So if you're interested in that, please leave me a comment below, and that way I'll know whether to proceed with that concept or not. Let me get these little scraps out of the way. Now we're going to do 2 cards today, and I'm just going to use a top fold and a side fold card. This one, I'm going to put a little bit of brown edge around it. I forgot to get my brown ink. Sorry. And I have a little dauber here that has some black ink on it, so the first one's going to be a little dark. And all we're going to do is just ink the edges. So if you're making this with me, you can stop the video and ink your edges, and I'll come right back, because we've done this 100 times. You don't need to watch me do that again. Okay, that's all 4 sheets inked up, and the first step, of course, is to go ahead and glue the panels down, and we're going to use one on the outside and the inside of these cards. Of course, if you wanted to make 4 cards, you could just use one on the outside of each card. But I only need 2. And after we get that done, then we're going to do 1 card with each of the dogs, the AI dog as well as Buddy. So let's get these glued down. This is a good way to use up that extra little bit of paper that you might have hanging around, and that is to put a panel on the inside of your designer paper. So if you've got a bunch of scraps and you can make a nice card front and put some on the inside, that's a great way to utilize that extra half sheet of paper that you might not use otherwise. So now let's go on to the sheet that has our pups that are ready to roll out here. And I designed them where you can put the large one on the outside and the little guy on the inside. So I'm going to get this little guy out of the way, and I'm going to use a circle punch. Oh, he will. Well, isn't that nice? So an 1.5-inch punch, circle punch, or you could, of course, use a circle die, or whatever you want to do with him is fine. And I'm going to cut this piece off. And this was designed to be cut at 3.5 by 4 3/4 with a little white border all the way around. So you have a little layered up look that way. And I'm just going to cut it, not paying attention to the size, with a little small white border all the way around. Hope you can see that. There we go. Now I'll look at one of these little guys, and I'm going to choose this one because I can save these other 2 then for another card. And I'm going to cut this at I think I'll cut him at 3 3/4. Let's try that. 3 3/4, and then I'm going to get my layers chart out. 3 3/4 by 5, and it was actually 3 3/4 by 2.5. So let's see what we can get that way. 2.5. I think he will look just fine at 2.5. There he is, and that is an A2 size layer, which makes it kind of nice for us. And I think I might put a little bit of brown edge around the outside of him, and then if I don't like it, we've always got a backup, which is kind of nice. And I think these little guys are charming enough that they can kind of stay in your stash and you can pull them out and use them again for some other card if you want to. Or you can just print another piece of the Muddy Footprints. Okay, I think I'll set this a little offset. And we have Yappy Birthday, Have a Doggone Great Birthday, and another Yappy Birthday that you could circle or oval punch. So I think I'm going to go get a circle punch because we've got the circle punch on the inside, and circle punch this for the outside. And this will fit on a 1 1/4 inch circle punch, which makes it nice and small for us. There we go. I'm going to put a little bit of brown edge on that as well, just to kind of be consistent. There we go. So let's build this card. I'm going to need a, whoops. I'm going to need a white panel for the inside, and I'm going to just go ahead and glue that in. Let me check my measurement on that. Looks good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue this in, and we'll finish up on the inside. Where did my tweezers go? Good gracious sakes. Here we go. They like to hide on me sometimes. So here he is on the inside, and his sweet little self. Right like so. And then I have a sweet little sentiment that I have been kind of overusing this week, which at the moment has gone awry. Where are you? And that is, no matter how you spend your day, hope it's great in every way. This is a 1994 Stampin' Up! Stamp, and it is so universal. And I've been using it, as I said, probably overusing it. Ooh, and you know what? The Yappy Birthday is in black, so I'm going to change my ink out to black ink instead of the brown and use black. And I just inked up my Memento pad, so it may be a tad bit juicy. When you find yourself really pushing on your ink pad to get ink on your stamp, trust me, it's time to ink your stamp pad. All right, let's see. Here we go. And there we have it. And now, let's finish the front on this one, and we'll get on to our second card. I'm just going to put my layer down. And because it's planned to be an A2 size layer, you get a nice border around the outside of that. I'm going to put my little dog down on an angle. Kind of up at the top and save room for my little sentiment. And I'm going to put this one up on a little tiny piece of foam, and that's the only foam that there will be on this card. Yappy Birthday. Isn't that sweet? I think they're so cute. So I hope you're enjoying this as well. Let's do the second card, and we'll bring out Buddy. And I am going to cut this again so that we can harvest the colored sheet for inside, or for the outside, I'm sorry. And I'm going to do the same thing. So let me do that. There we are. And then I'm just going to cut my little guys here and here, I think. Or maybe here and here. Let's cut him this way, and then we use 2 of them. I'm going to cut him at 4. And let's use this other Yappy Birthday off of this other sheet and cut it down to about 1/2 inch, more or less. All I want is the top and bottom border to look about the same. And I need to take a little bit more off. It's hard to see on these guillotine cutters underneath this little bar here. There we go. That'll be just fine for us. And now I want to get my ink out, my ink pads. And we're going to do a little coloring on him. And I'm going to take my crumb cake first and put some on my little stamping block. And I'm going to do a single spritz of water. And I'm going to use my number 5 round brush, which I need to wipe a little bit of green ink off of it, I think, because I was using it earlier this morning and I forgot to clean it. And there we are. And so now I'm just going to get my brush nice and saturated with ink, but not drippy. And I'm going to color him in on my regular plain cardstock. And on this first pass over, all I want to do is get some color down. And then we'll go back and add a little extra color in for shading and shadows. Now, you all know I don't spend a lot of time on this channel colorizing because I'm just not the best at it. And that's okay, because I know some of you all are a little intimidated by coloring things still. And we all have to start somewhere. So just start. That's all you have to do, is just start. I'm going to leave him as he is. I'm going to put a little more ink on a little more water on my ink and pull the rest of this up in and do my second one, because I want one for the outside as well as one for the inside. Oh, and I forgot that I am going to need one of my little black pens to go back over some of his scruffiness after we get finished with this, because with the way I did this, I scanned it into Canva so that I could manipulate it, because you see these are mirror images of each other, and when you do that, then you can do all kinds of stuff with your little artwork that you've got. I know some of you have asked me to do a Canva video, but honestly, I'm not that good at it to do. There's so many people out there that are much better than I in showing you how to do Canva. So I'm really just going to refer to those folks. I'm going to put a little shading on his back, and then I'm going to draw a little bit more here on this side as well. Just kind of give him a little more shadow definition, and maybe down in here around his legs some. Just normally where you would see the shadow lines on the underside of his tail and his foot. And I'll do the same thing over here. And then when he dries, he'll be kind of a little mottled brown dog. And that's what we're looking for. Just something a little whimsical. Some people don't like whimsy, but I personally find it charming. There he is. Okay, now I need a little darker brown for his nose, and I'm going to go back and get that rich cocoa and just get some on my brush and do his little nose in a little darker brown. And there we are. Doesn't have to be perfect. And now I'm going to wipe my block off and spray some water on my brush to kind of semi-clean it out a little bit. And I just kind of wipe till the brown color kind of goes away. And then I'm going to switch off to this balmy blue color for his hat. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing. And I'm going to do the ball of the hat and the alternating stripes because I'm going to put some gold pen in those other stripes there. And there we go. And I'm going to pull a little bit more color and kind of go down on one side. There we are. And that kind of helps shape that hat just a little bit. Get him a little shadow back behind his little fuzzies. There we are. Now the final thing to do is to give him just a little bit of color, and I'll be fussy cutting that one, obviously, to give him just a little bit of color to ground him. And I forgot to pull that ink pad, so let me go get it because I want to use a little gray. And I have gray flannel on my desk, so that's what we're going to use. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'll wipe the blue off my stamp block and put just the smallest little bit of gray. And on this gray, it's a little on the darker side, so I'm going to give this a pretty good spritz of water. There we go. And this is the little one that we're going to cut as a panel. This one we really don't need the brown on, but I'm going to go ahead and add it anyway. There, right like that. Now, the next step that I want to do with our little buddy is to get my black pen, and I'm going to use my Signo Uniball. I can't see it. It's a 207. And I'm going to go back in now and just add a little bit more detail into the hair coming around, just to kind of give it that little bit of whimsical look. So we're going to do some pen work here. And then I'm going to come in and give him a little smile. And there he is. He's grinning at us now, isn't he? There we go. And give him some little toesies here. There. And give him just a little bit of hair stuff here. There. And we're going to do the same thing over here. And you don't have to go all the way around. Just add a little bit here and there. And on his little face, I'm just touching, like I'm doing little taps, if that makes any sense. All the way down in through here. And all I'm doing is refreshing that little scruffy line down in here. Okay, here he is. Now I'm going to switch off to my gold pen. And I'm going to fill these in with a little gold ink out of my pen. And I'm going to put some up in his little hat tassel. And there we are. And now I'm going to switch off to my white pen. And I'm just going to put some little shine dots on him here and there. You've seen me do this plenty of times before. And all that does is just add a little bit of life, shine life to his little face and features and what have you. Now, I'm going to go back to my black pen, and I'm going to black his eyes. There. And there. And now, isn't he just adorable? I think he is. And his ink is kind of mottled up, and that just doesn't bother me at all. So, now I'm going to cut this panel. And let's see, it's 4 inches. I got to get my chart out again, if I can find it. Oh, that's so exasperating. And let's see. 4 would be the long side, so 2 3/4 would be an A2 size layer. Let's see how that looks. 2 3/4. I think we may need to cut him right about there. And then we'll flip him over this way. So there is 2 3/4 by 4. There we are. And I'm just going to cut some excess off of this so it makes my trimming a little easier for my fussy cut. That's all I'm doing right now. There we are. Okay. Now before I leave today, I want to show you the paper for next week because I think you're really going to enjoy it. It's a coneflower paper called Coneflower Power. So if you want the paper, then sometimes this week you'll need to email me and put Coneflower Power in the subject line. See, what I do is I have to screen my emails 2 or 3 times a day because I get so much volume these days. And if you'll put the paper in the subject line, it helps me out quite a bit. And if you'll send me just one email, it may take me several hours or maybe the day to get it to you. But don't send me 2 or 3 emails, please. It's just really puts a bind on me having to screen and see if I've actually sent paper once already. And you can see this little fussy cut on him. I'm just leaving the tiniest little bit of white in those areas that are close. And I'm leaving just enough of the fuzzy around him to be interesting that way. See? Right like that. These scissors are very comfortable. They're sharp. These are embroidery scissors. If I can remember, I'll leave you a link to them. They were not expensive. But there he is. I'm going to kind of blunt his tail end a little bit right there and come back up in here and finish out this little micro trim here. There. Now, let's go get our card finished. So we have the same situation here, like this, and a little sentiment can go across that way on some foam tape. I think I'm going to put this down in a panel square to the rest of the panels that way. There. And this one, whoops, see, I dropped it on the floor. I am going to put up on some foam. And I believe I need to trim him down just a little bit. Maybe we can do him like this and come across that way. Maybe put a little flag on this end, do you think? Or does he look better straight? I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm going to put a little cut on this end down here. And I'm going to use my cutter bee scissors to do that. I'm just going to go right in the middle and then come to my corners and cut to that middle. And put him a little flag end on there. There we go. And I'll leave this end a little long. Better glue this down, hadn't I? I think I'll put them on square this time since we kind of angled the other one a little bit. Let me know, please, in the comments how you're liking this series. I have several more papers that I can go through with you if you want me to. And then I think what we might do is to travel back into some scraps using the card cutting templates in a little different way than they were intended. So that will be fun. And it looks like I actually do need a little more foam tape underneath that little piece. So let me see if I can cut me another little piece and just pull it and stick it up in there with my tweezers. That's helpful sometimes. There we go, right like that. And I can trim it off from the back. And then this one is the same way. I'll need to get a little inside panel, and I keep those up on my desk here so that I can just pull them. This was some paper that wasn't really cut quite right. I took them to, I don't know, office something or another and had them cut, and they weren't cut right, so I had to cut them all again. And I just decided to use them for inside panels because they were small by that point. And now our little friend is going to sit on the inside. And I think I'll use that same little stamp to finish him out. Right like this. And I've got a couple cards to show you, so don't go away. And I want to show you that paper as well. Where's my stamp? Where's my black ink? It's crazy. Here we go. And there we are. So here's one. And let me clear off my desk a little bit. Here's another one. Now I did this one with alcohol markers. And I don't see the one that we built first. It has gone awry. I'll have to hunt him up. Well, I know you all, here he is right here. It's just crazy. So here we are. And I have one more to show you, so let me clear these out of the way, because this is kind of a fun card format. It's one of those triple Z fold cards. And so here he is, and he opens up like this. And so that would be the card open, standing, and then here's the back of it. So if you want me to show you how I did this card, there's plenty of those out on the internet as well, but I can, and I'm happy to do that. So at any rate, let me show you the paper for next week. And here it is. And again, this is called Coneflower Power. And if you'll send it to my email, and the email's down below in the description box, I'll get it to you this week. And let me know if you want me to do a final pack with all the papers that I've done in one final pack. So there is a video coming out this coming Wednesday on drawing the hand-drawn coneflower image that goes with this. So if you're interested, you can see it Wednesday afternoon at 4:30 Eastern U.S. time. Talk to you later. Bye, everybody.